What is your name?
My name is Trudie Sherwood.
And what year were you born?
I was born in 1933.
And the city and the state?
The city of Woonsocket, Rhode Island, which is up in the northwestern corner near Massachusetts.
Is there anything special about your hometown?
Well, my hometown is a town that is bilingual because the people who immigrated there came from Canada and France, and so we went to schools that had bilingual facility. So my school offered French in the morning and English in the afternoon, and that's how I studied through 8th grade. So I learned French in school, not at home.
What is one of the earliest memories from your childhood?
Well, as a young child, I loved to sing, and I sang everything and anything people would ask me to sing. So when I was 3, I sang for my grandfather's 90th birthday. That was my memory of singing.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents?
Yes, my mother was Polish, and she was first generation in this country, but my father was French, and his family had been in America for at least 3 generations. So they were, I was the oldest, I was the firstborn, and my dad was a milk man. During the war, we had cows, but otherwise he processed the milk. We had a dairy farm.
Okay. So did you and your siblings work on the dairy farm?
Yes, we did. There were 4 of us girls before there were any boys, and so all of us girls learned to drive trucks and deliver milk and check in the men when they came in with their collections. Yes.
Did you attend a university or college?
Yes, I finished my high school education in Woonsocket, and then I went to college in Nashua, New Hampshire. It was a college affiliated with the same sisters who taught in our grammar school. And I wanted to be in that environment. So I finished my degree there in music and education. So when I got out, I taught a year in a bilingual school. And then, of course, I went to the Conservatory of Music, where I studied opera and joined the opera company in Boston.
And for those who don't know what a conservatory is, could you
Yes.
explain that?
Well, let me tell you, in New England Conservatory and the Boston Conservatory are schools that focus on music studies. So many of the courses that you're obliged to take in a normal university are not required. You have your music, your applied, your theory, all kinds of things that relate to music, music history, the humanities, and so that was where I got my master's degree.
How did you decide what it was that you wanted to focus on when you chose your studies, or were you divided between them?
Well, I always had a talent for singing. So as a 12-year-old, I started lessons and I sang a lot in our community. So when I went to college, I pursued music, but I was being realistic. We didn't really have the funds to go to college, so I worked. And I studied music because I loved it. But I also took education courses so I could support myself. So when I moved to Boston to get my master's degree, I had to work and I had to study and pay for my own education, but it was worth all the effort.
How did you decide what you wanted to do as far as your career?
Well, in my career, once I had taught for a year, I felt that that was not helping my voice. I really didn't have time to sing the way I hoped to do. So I decided that if I could go to Boston, I studied speech and drama at the same time because I had a scholarship. But I always was drawn to the music. So very soon after that, I enrolled at the conservatory and in the Boston Opera Company. Those of us who were singers and who were master students all sang with the Boston Opera Company. Mm-hmm.
What did you enjoy most about that experience?
Well, I got to travel. For one thing, we went to the White House and we sang under Lyndon Johnson 2 times. Once was for the Apollo 13 celebration, and once was to celebrate the arrival of the president and his wife from Turkey. So we even sang verses in Turkish to entertain him. So that was a wonderful opportunity for me when I lived in Boston.
What did you like about your very first job?
My very first job was waitressing at Howard Johnson's. And 28 flavors of ice cream, that wasn't bad. And that was my way of earning my way to go to school. I did that summers and vacations. The girls would take time off so I could work Christmas vacation, Thanksgiving, Easter. So it was fun because those people were very interested in what I was doing and were helpful and encouraging.
That's good. How did you meet your spouse?
Well, when I was at the New England Conservatory, I was in the voice department. He was a concert pianist. So he accompanied many singers and also some chamber music. So, of course, I attended those things. I knew him from my seat. I had not met him. But then we were offered a tour to promote the conservatory, and we went to colleges throughout the South, and he was the accompanist. So we met through that occasion.
What did you like most about him or her when you first met him?
Well, his talent. He was a fantastic pianist, but he was also very charming, and he was from Kansas. He had studied some French, and he asked me to help him with that. So we got close that way.
Okay. When did you get married?
We got married in November of 1960. Okay. And it was after a tour that we had done together, and he was leaving to go to France to study at the Paris Conservatory. But I was contracted to sing with the traveling opera company. So I stayed behind until March. Then I joined him in Paris in March.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you guys did together as far as with your...
Yes, well, because we were both musicians, we did concerts together. In the summertime, he would do musical theater in Massachusetts, and we would go there and spend the summers once we had moved here. We moved here because things at the conservatory, where he was teaching at that point, were not conducive to advancement. And winters were tough. So finding parking spaces were difficult for him. So we moved from Massachusetts to Pensacola. The reason we chose Pensacola is that we were taking a trip, and there was a faculty member in the art department here at Pensacola Junior College who was a friend of his from grammar school. And so the music department was looking for a piano professor because the one they had was going elsewhere, was leaving. And he was interviewed. And we found out as we finished our trip, when we got to California, that he was asked to come. So we traveled back to Boston, and he came immediately to Pensacola, and I stayed and sold my home there.
So when you all traveled and came to Pensacola and you settled here as far as teaching,
Yes.
you ended up at the same university. And you mentioned that you guys had summer programs where you would take the students. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that?
You know, in the summertime, at that time, in the early 80s, the college would pay a professor to take students on European tours for humanities, but the focus was music. So in every place where we traveled, there was a musical venue for us to assist and to be part of. So these people who were traveling with us were getting credit. They had to write papers, evaluate what they had heard. So we continued to do that until 1990. So we went to Germany, to France, to Italy. I didn't go, but he went to Spain. So we traveled everywhere. Budapest. When we were in Budapest, it was still communist, so it was very stark to travel from Vienna, where it was pretty with flowers and it was very happy, and into a stark place where there are hardly any trees and no flowers.
Wow.
It was very different.
Yeah.
Well, when we traveled, we were with the Consortium International out of California, and they organized these travel requirements according to the professor's program of study, so that if they wanted to focus on music that was solo things, or to know more about the country. So we often attended events where we saw the dancers and the music of that country. Like in Hungary, they have a cembalon, which is played with mallets. And we were invited to hear a concert with that instrument, but with the young people in costumes of the country and dances of the. So we were learning about the culture as well as attending concerts.
Yeah. What can you say you have liked most about your life so far?
Well, I think that what I have liked most about my life is my 3 daughters. Those girls have made me so proud. My oldest daughter is an artist, and she's got her college education. My middle daughter is a dancer. She was a Rockette for 11 years. She was professional. And my youngest daughter is a professional violinist and lives in Atlanta. They are happy. And I feel like as parents, that was our greatest accomplishment. But what was wonderful about my life is that my husband was my accompanist. So whenever I sang, and I did concerts, recitals at PJC at the time, he was my accompanist. So we did things together as well as travel, which was really a wonderful way to bring the family into our musical and artistic environment.
Could you sing a little bit in French for us?
All right, well, yes, why don't I sing something that's familiar to everyone from the movie and the show with Ezio Pinza, the 2 children who sing for the American girl he wants to marry. And it is, "Tell me, why is life beautiful?" All right, so, "Dites-moi pourquoi la vie est belle. Dites-moi pourquoi la vie est gaie. Dites-moi pourquoi, chère mademoiselle, est-ce que parce que vous m'aimez? So is it because you love me that life is so beautiful?
What advice would you give to the young people of today?
Yes, I work a lot with young people, and they have aspirations that are very worthy, and if they are talented, I encourage them to stick to the goal, because in a music career there is challenge, and a lot of it is who you know, but if you are prepared, if you keep your eye on your goal and you don't give up your dreams, there is a place for you. It may not be exactly what you wanted, but it will be a place where you will achieve your dream and be happy. And that's our goal in life, to do what makes us happy and to do for others.
Thank you very much.
One last point that I didn't make is that to have the goals is wonderful, and to be prepared is wonderful, but the bottom line is discipline. It is an everyday effort, whether it's dance, voice, piano, or whatever your choice is. It's a daily exercise. Discipline